Greetings, and welcome to the Phenomenal Reflection Podcast. This show is a sacred space for all of us to talk about domestic violence, but not limited to. We will share reflective stories of everyday life real events. Domestic violence is a hidden epidemic that affects millions of people worldwide. It is a complex issue with far-reaching consequences, often shrugged off in silence and in shame. In this podcast, we'll explore the different facets of domestic violence, from its causes and effects to the path of recovery. We'll hear from survivors and advocates who are working tirelessly to break the cycle of abuse. Together, we will shed some light in the pressing issues and empower those affected to seek help and find hope. With that being said, welcome again to the Phenomenal Reflection Podcast. Let's begin the conversation. Hello and welcome, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Domestic Friday. I am your host, Phenomena Mindy, and I am glad that you are here today. Today, we're going to take a little bit turn on something, and we're going to dive deep into a story that was put in front of me. And I kind of want to talk about domestic violence umbrella this particular episode. So with that being said, the person that I was given the information for, her name is the story of Curnissa Sam. And she's a mother that is fighting for her life. So I'm going to read the story to you, and I'm going to kind of dive in and do a little dialogue thing and kind of get your input on this. But today we're going to share her story. She's 31 years old, and she's a Memphis, Tennessee mother of 4 children who were kind of under the leadership of her auntie at this particular moment. She's surviving years of abuse and brutal attack. Now, this is something that has been repeatedly going on with her. And I'm not going to really say with her, I'm going to say with her situation. But she's now fighting for her life to wake up. Her children are safe with her family members. But the world has forever not knowing all the details of domestic violence or hear stories that probably similar to theirs. And today we're just gonna kind of, tell her story, but not to dwell on horror, or the physical part of using your fists or anything like that, but just to kind of shed light on survivors in the community and just to let people know that we care and that it is a journey ahead and that we will support you in whatever endeavors that you need us to, because we are a community, we are a village. And I know I speak that for myself in the community that I am in. But however, her husband, which is named Ahmed Sam, he's 33 years old. He have been arrested and charged with attempted murder and related crimes. Her auntie, this is what she says, and I'm going to read this news segment that the auntie had with Fox 13 here in Memphis. Okay, so her aunt Dorothy Dyson said that she was shot several times by her husband, and they've been knowing each other for quite some time. And she says, what an evil person would do this to his wife, the mother of his kids, And so it's a question she's never imagined asking, especially about the man that she fell in love with from high school, So Dyson said that, Dyson the auntie, she said that Curnissa Sam and her husband Ahmed were high school sweethearts, but she said that their relationship took a drastic turn. This had been going on for years, the beating. This is what the auntie says. The auntie also stated that the abuse from her niece fought through and didn't start overnight. So 3 weeks prior to this, he beat her and gave her a concussion. She also stated that enough is enough. Now Sam is fighting for her life. Memphis police, they responded to the shooting on April the 19th, just after 9:30 in the morning at the apartment complex. Dyson, which is her auntie, she said that her niece is currently in a coma after being shot at least 8 times. He knew he couldn't go over there because she had a restraining order on him. So James told him, you can go get the kids. She's with me. A few minutes later, he just showed up, blocked them in, and did the shooting. So James, I'm going to have to say, I don't quite understand who James is, but I'm assuming that there is some type of male figure that she had in her life at the particular time. And it also stated that after he showed up and blocked them in, and he began to do the shooting. Dyson said that her niece, 4 children were not there at the time. Later that day, MPD found Ahmed Sam and took him into custody. Police said that he was out on bail for domestic assault, as was not allowed to have a gun in his possession. Now, Dyson said that her niece children, the youngest being just 2 years old, are left to face life without their mother, unsure if she'll never come home again. She didn't deserve this. This is what the auntie said, Dyson. I love her. Her family loves her. Her kids love her. We are fighting with her. Keep fighting so you can come home to your kids. Now, he was charged with multiple offenses, including 2 counts of attempted first degree murder and domestic assault. Now, as I and begin to read the story, and I know it is dated to April, but as of now, she's still in a coma. And they kind of gave an update on she's still in a coma. Now, domestic violence in Memphis, specifically and across the world, it's about 1 in every 4 women they experience this type of intimacy with a partner. Now, a lot of people they are trapped within the relationship through whether it could be financial, it could be codependency, it could be out of fear, it could be children, it could just be a stigma, and it's something not should be taken lightly. It's very important that you have your mental health together and that you participate in the community. Me, for myself, when I say mental health, you need to have yourself together before you act in a relationship. And a lot of time, a lot of us as melanated beings, we have this trauma going on within the bloodline. Or it could be, when I say the bloodline, it could be your mom, dad, and great grandmama, whatever, or grandmother. And it is something that's plagued, everyone's life, that you have some family member that is domestic, and then you will see signs of what's really going on. you know this is a long-term effect that affect not only the person that's actively in it. If they have children, they are affected. If they have cousins, that everybody in the family probably talking about it. So it's affecting everybody within the family. And it's not something to be taken lightly. We have to pay attention to signs. We have to not ignore those signs and not just kind of work with potential. And potential, a lot of times, even within myself, I didn't know till like a few years later how potential is not something that you want to work with and deal with, because that's hoping that they would change from who the person that they really are. And it, as the saying goes, when somebody tell you who they are, when somebody show you who they are, you have to believe who they are. You can't say, oh, well, this is a potential thing, well, maybe he'll change. Oh, well, maybe he was domestic with this person before me, and maybe he not. 9 times out of 10, that man is not healed from the trauma. That man has internal things going on with him. He can't overcome, or he didn't even reach out for help, because there has this quote unquote saying that, whatever goes on in the home stays in the home. And that's something that is domesticated to me, you know, and it's controversial because a lot of people still say that to this day. But then inside of that bloodline, we're all sitting here with this big fat elephant in the room. Nobody wants to address nothing. Nobody wants to talk about nothing. So, it's very vital that we do take care of mental health. It's very vital that we do, get some help. And don't ever feel like that you're trapped or stuck in a situation because you have a child by that particular individual. And I am going to say, within this here, I feel like with restraining order, let's talk about that. Let's dive within that. Restraining order is simply a piece of paper stating they can't come a certain feet within between you. So if, let's say, the restraining order say you can't come within 50 feet, then you're standing your ass over there across the street 50 feet from me, but you're still doing things from me. That's not to say you stand over that way and you firing at me, but you're still within 50 feet. But in this particular case, he did Ahmed Sam's did kind of ran up on him. And I don't know what was his issues or what was his past record. And I'm not even caring about that. All I'm concerned is you did what you did and you have to own up to it. And there's no safe haven for him. It's a bunch of bullshit, to really be honest, because the system failed her. That she was not in protected custody. This is not something that happened overnight. This was a continuous thing. And I'm going to insert a video of the, not a video, I'm sorry, I'm going to insert a picture of the mother. I'm not even going to give the guy, Ahmed Sam's, any recognition as far as a picture on my platform. And I feel like that something could be done about it. And it does start with parenting. It really does. A lot of times we're not able to express ourselves to our parents, what's going on inside of us, or what is plaguing our life, or not even for advice on which direction I should go in, mama. Help me to understand it. And then they would turn around and say to you, my mom or my dad didn't do that to me, so I don't even know. And that, for me, is a problem, because I begin to wonder, why did you start having children when you didn't have yourself together? Sex doesn't always mean that we're gonna make it or we're gonna stick together. It's a pleasure thing. So, and this pleasure is at the moment, and I just want people to understand that, it's not always easy. It's not. It's not always easy. It's something that can be, domestic violence can be stored upon you as fear. And when you begin to be fearful, then you begin to think, in this particular situation, I have children, what do I do? But in this particular situation, I'm going to say, I commend her for go ahead and getting a restraining order. But again, as I feel like that the restraining order was strictly bullshit to me. And even within the restraining order, he violated that. So it's just a piece of paper that says you can't lawfully come within a certain feet of me. So it's not a box to put you in to protect you and your children until things blow over. And I'm going to say there's not enough things in the community. There's not enough things as far as places to live, or safe havens, safe houses, or however you want to say, so to speak. There's not enough of that. And I begin to wonder when I look at this story, and now that I'm reading it again, and it stated, what evil person would do this to his wife, the mother of his kids? He didn't give a damn. He didn't think about none of that. That meant nothing to him. And a lot of times, those repeated offenders, they don't give a shit about that, because they are an offender. And a lot of times they do know that, oh, if I do such and such, and I'll be out within such and such. We have to really look at the laws. We have to hold them accountable for certain things that happen within the community. But then on the other hand, they want you to trust them with certain things and saying you have a duty to do, but also you do too, because we elect you to do this particular job, and we need you to fulfill this job that you sign up for. And she met him in high school. They were high school sweethearts. She said that their relation took a drastic turn. This had been going on for years, the beating, is what the auntie said. The auntie also stated that her niece fought through. This didn't start it overnight. 3 weeks prior to that, he beat her and gave her a concussion. Now, with that alone, there wasn't enough information to pick his ass up. There wasn't enough to pick his ass up, lock him up, and show him how to feel. Now, some things I'm all justified with instant karma. I'm all with instant karma when it comes to kids, elderly people, and just downright dumb shit. I don't need to wait till, karma may come around. Sometimes you are the one that put in place to do the karma. And y'all may say that that's crazy, or how dare I say a thing like that, but I'm just being honest. I'm being me. I'm being real. I believe in instant karma. I don't believe in waiting, and waiting. You waiting for a change to come. And sometimes you are the change that's there to come, or there now to give the instant karma. Like I don't understand this. And I do believe in community. And like I'm reminded of another episode or another story where there was instant karma, where the guy was held down and dealt with by the community. It takes a village to raise a community. It takes a community to raise a village. So, you know, I just I just believe in instant karma. I'm sorry. If you rape a child, molest a child, assault a child, why do we got to wait for justice? Why do we have to wait until justice comes? And that's the such thing as instant karma. It definitely is. And there's no doubt about it. And I do feel sorry for the auntie that's speaking out on this, simply because she's dealt with raising the children. And Miss Sam's is not. I'm not gonna say she's not here, mentally. I'm gonna say her body, is here, but she's still in another dimension. So we need to get her back in this dimension. And this is a tough thing to handle and deal with. It's a tough thing for the kids to even see, especially the older one. You got to go to school. There's mental health behind that. And you don't have to. I'm gonna say this to the ladies, to the ladies, to the women and the girls. You don't have to settle for anything. You're beautiful just the way you are. You're gorgeous just the way you are. You are the queen. You are the masterpiece chess that's on the board. You don't have to settle for potential. If you see red flags, first of all, everybody go through hard times. So I'm not talking about far as financial gains or far as a financial issue. That's not what I'm talking about. Far as red flags. Red flags are signs. As my grandma would say, ignoramus. And the things that people let come out their mouth. And then you have some men that talk, and when they talk like they are a womanizer. Pay attention to that. And pay attention to jokes. Inside of jokes, there's some reality inside of that. Pay attention to how they move. Pay attention to how they feel about you. If you asking the individual to do something for you, and it could be, let's say, simple as take the trash out. If you're asking him to do that, which you shouldn't even be asking that to even begin with, but this is just an example. And he's very offensive. He's on the game. He's hollering and screaming back at you because you asked one simple question. Now you're walking on eggshells. Now you feel like, well, shit, the trash need to be taken out, so I might as well do that. If you're gonna do that, then you might as well be by yourself. You you can do bad all by yourself. You don't need no help to stop death. Like, nah, come on. And I really feel some type of way about this story. And again, this story was sent to me to go over. And I'm going to be honest, I am from Memphis, and I did not know about this story. And which was crazy. When I went back to look at Fox 13, Action News 5, and that's when I began to gather up information. I began to see certain things that, hey, this is a real thing. This really happened. And it's sad. And it's sad. Y'all lock up the wrong ones. Y'all lock up the ones that's out here causing wreaking havoc and disturbing the peace. Lock them up. The ones that committing crime and violence, lock them up. All this petty crime, like marijuana and all that. Why is that so a traffic stop? Far as you don't have any driver's license or you don't have any insurance, why are we focusing on that? There's a broad of things that need help with in the community. But what am I going to do is encourage you to donate and be very aware. Recognize signs of abuse in one's own life or your community. Don't ever feel like that, well, I ain't gonna say none of that person over there. I ain't gonna do none of that person over there. That's them for being this, all that. But if he wailing on her, I mean wailing. I'm not saying be a hero and start, you know what I'm saying, back at the particular individual. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to be a hero in the story. I'm asking you to be a support. I'm asking you to be part of the village that you were included in by your elders. I'm asking you to do that. Call them out. I'm asking you to do that, you know, and I have compassion, and things need to be done for the community. I'm very big on rebuilding. I'm very big on telling stories. Old folks foolery. I'm definitely big on that. And I'm definitely big on expressing why we must engage. If you're a millennium baby, a Gen X, or anything like that, and I'm gonna say millennium, we are the ones that's the last of our ancestors dying breed. We are the last. So if we drop the ball, what do you think 20, 30 years from now is going to be happening? What do you think going to be happening? You know? So it's very vital and it's important if you can. I'm going to say this, if you can, and I am going to drop in the comment section below, donate to this fundraiser for her. And it's just to help the auntie have certain things for the children, I should say. And so she can have some type of support, you know, even if things turn for worse. But if you can't do that, you can support in other ways, far as your shelters, advocacy group, and you can learn and recognize the red flags and abuse in friends and families and coworkers. And you can be able to say, well, hey, this is what's going on. This ain't right. Don't sit up there and let a particular person crash out. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit up there and do it, because it's not always in the home. It's definitely at workplaces. It's definitely there. It's definitely there. It's definitely in the family. So what I am going to share for you on this particular episode, I'm going to share the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And it's 1-800-799-SAFE. And that's again 1-800-799-SAFE, which is 7233. And if for whatever reason you can't tell your story, or you need someone to tell your story and you would like for me to read your story in particular, you can email me at phenomenalreflection2024@gmail.com. That is a S on reflections. And if you just prefer to talk to me verbally, you can call me at 901-501-5456. It doesn't matter. If you need a confidant, call me, email me. This is my job, to express the things that's in the community. I feel like this is something that I'm called to do. This is my destiny, and I'm gonna definitely die trying to fulfill my destiny. I'd rather do that than to be around some foolishness and die from something that's, you know, that I couldn't control. Now, closing this story, I certainly give courage to Miss Sam. I do. Curnissa. I definitely give courage to her. If you know a loved one and they are sick, and I'm going to use cancer specifically, you know, like when they say, oh, we give them such and such time to live. We give them a week to live. We give them 10 days. We give them 4 days to live. A lot of times, the family member of the loved one stop fighting. And when you stop fighting internally, you have the tendency of passing away. And I commend her for still fighting. Her story is not just about violence, but it's about love for her children, community strength, and an ongoing fighting for justice. Her story kind of reminds me that behind every headline, there's a family, there's a future, and there's a fight for healing. We want to honor her, not only her, we want to stand with the survivors everywhere of domestic violence. And I express my gratitude for you even listening to me and bringing forth this and for even caring. I invite your feedback. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the community. What do you have to say? What do you think? What do you can contribute to this dialogue? You know? And don't be ashamed. Don't be prideful. I give much gratitude to my listeners. Come forward. Step out. Be the voice for somebody else that can be the voice for themselves. You don't have to be of a certain caliber to be able to talk about a certain thing. You don't have to be that. But this is, something that's need to be talked about. And as I begin to get more stories, I'm beginning to share more information and share things that I know on my platform. And I'm not only just on YouTube, I'm on Spotify, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, whatever outlet. If you Google me and just type in Phenomenal Mindy, you'll find me. I'm pretty sure you'll find me. But today we shared the story of Curnissa Sam's, a mother, a daughter, and a survivor who is still fighting for her life after unimaginable violence. But this episode just about one tragedy I'm talking about in particular. It's about the ongoing fight for domestic violence. It's ongoing, you know, and the survivors need the power of the community to step in because this is a family of crises. If you want to help, you can find, fundraisers. You can step up to support her family and afford dollars. And if you or someone is in danger, please reach out and just know that you're not alone. Again, I'm going to give you the domestic violence hotline. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. This story also reminds me of even in your darkest moments, there's strength, there's love, and there's hope. Your story won't go unnoticed with me. This is a sacred space. Whatever you feel you need to unload, unload. And I'm talking about not with the pew pew, but I'm talking about in another specific way. Again, this story is dear. If not for her, do it for her children. Donate to the GoFundMe. $1 is not too small. If that's all you have, that's all you have. But be vocalizer in your community. Find out what your destiny is. Once you find out what your destiny is, die trying to fulfill it. I don't know everyone's destiny. I'm not trying to know everyone's destiny. But you know yours is the most valuable thing. What are you called to do? Why are you here? Find that out. What's your purpose? And your purpose can't be go to work, buy a house, buy a car, take care of your children. That's common. That's already known. That's what we all have as a common denominator to do. So you need to know what's your purpose and destiny outside of the norm. What are you called to do? What bloodline are you connected with? What traumas do this plague throughout your bloodline? Find those things out. Look past the glitz and the glamour. Do that. But thank you for listening and thank you for being an ear. Until next time, this is Domestic Friday, and every story matters, and we stand together, and with that, we can change. See you on the next episode as we rise to the top. Bye for now.